Hello and welcome. My name is Sara Tabaei, and along with Kirk Snyder and Professors Virginia Koenig, Michele Zakarin, and Michele Bunker-Albert, we are excited to present on Touro University's OER Faculty Fellowship Program. During our presentation today, we will give a brief overview of the beginnings of Open Touro, delve into the details of the fellowship, and hear from our 2022 faculty fellows as they share their insights and first-hand experiences with developing and implementing OER in their courses. Touro University is a large educational institution with numerous schools and campuses across the country and worldwide. However, it's exactly this expansiveness that creates challenges for local initiatives to gain momentum. Our OER initiative, Open Touro, was launched in 2018 from a Touro library located in Manhattan. We had initial success with local undergraduate departments, basically those that were already in search of alternatives to conventional textbooks due to their high costs, and over the first 2 years our savings exceeded $100,000. Yet, it was clear to us that we had to expand the reach of our initiative. Our efforts gained substantial momentum when we received a grant from the network of the National Library of Medicine, a sub-award of NIH, in 2020. Despite being small and limited to the health sciences, the grant proved crucial in propelling our initiative forward. One of the first things we did with the grant was the establishment of a faculty fellowship program on OER. The faculty fellowship was indeed a turning point for Open Touro for a few reasons. For one, the concept of a fellowship initiated by the library was novel and captured the interest of senior management. Deans, chairs, and even the PR department actively promoted and encouraged faculty members to apply for this new fellowship. We celebrated the graduation of our first cohort of OER fellows with a Touro-wide webinar. Since the webinar was sponsored by the Provost's office, the event was widely promoted and a high number of faculty from different campuses attended. This event allowed the fellows to present their OER project, which in turn sparked more interest in both OER and the fellowship program. The initial success of the fellowship, the enthusiasm of faculty, and its novelty did not get lost on senior management. So when the library reached out to the Provost's office, they agreed to a partnership with the funding for the faculty stipend to be allocated from their budget. As a result of this partnership, the fellowship was also expanded to include disciplines beyond the health sciences. If the fellowship has propelled our OER initiative, it's also contributing to our sustainability efforts. Our fellows take on the role of official OER ambassadors upon graduation, advocating for OER and the fellowship. Recently, we were informed that the creation of OER materials count toward faculty promotion, affirming the significance of OER at our university.
Now we'll talk about what our fellowship entails. As Sara described, it's a partnership between the library and the Office of the Provost. They provided funding for the stipends, and the library administers the fellowship. The fellowship period is 6 months long, and it's open to all full-time faculty from any program or campus. The fellowship supports faculty in developing OER to replace a previously required commercial textbook for one of their classes. These are the requirements of the fellowship. They can choose to adopt, adapt, or create original OER. They will publish their OER in our institutional repository and use it in their class within the next calendar year. The fellows attend monthly group meetings with the OER librarian and complete online trainings. We structure the training or educational aspect of the fellowship similarly to a full college course, with lectures, self-paced online modules, and assessments. The OER librarian leads the monthly meetings, giving presentations on a different aspect of working with OER each month. Topics covered in these monthly meetings correspond to the modules in the self-paced course. We've found that copyright issues, open licensing, and Creative Commons are usually pretty new concepts to faculty, so we give this plenty of attention. Also, the basics of OER, the first 2 modules here, are important because fellows come to us with varying levels of knowledge about OER. We also have modules on where to find OER, accessibility, and tools and platforms for editing and creating. I'd like to mention that this online course we made is an adaptation of a great one called Texas Learn OER, made by Carrie Gitz for Digitex. Upon completion of the fellowship, faculty receive micro-credential faculty development badges and OER ambassador plaques that they can hang in their offices. After the fellowship period, faculty are expected to present their work via webinars, and as OER ambassadors, engage in OER advocacy across campus. Here's a look at our fellowship by the numbers. This graph shows our students' estimated financial savings from OER use since we began promoting it in 2018. The period highlighted in yellow corresponds to when we began offering the fellowship. We use a standard method of estimating savings based on research by Spark, which identifies the average cost of a commercial textbook at $116.94. It took us 4 semesters to reach an estimated $100,000 saved. After starting the fellowship, savings increased by around $100,000 every semester. This got us to the milestone last year of saving students over $500,000. This may be small compared with some other schools, but we're proud of this achievement through what has been a completely grassroots effort at our institution. Many schools' OER programs get support from the top down, some even having statewide funding for OER, but our program has modest support and we librarians are building it from the ground up. We actually have only 1 employee working on OER full-time, and 1 more providing support is just one of their many responsibilities. Out of our $529,000 in estimated savings, the fellowship has created $264,000 of it, which is almost exactly 50% of our total. One metric that really illustrates the value of the fellowship to our institution is looking at the return on investment. Just a small financial contribution from the university yields huge financial savings for our students. Using our first fellowship cohort as an example, with an investment of $500 per fellow, or $2,500 total, those 5 fellows have gone on to produce around $264,000 in savings since 2020. That's 105 times the amount of the university's investment in just 3 years, which is an ROI of 10,476%. And this tiny sliver of light blue on the pie chart represents the university's contribution, and the green is the resulting student savings. Another benefit of the fellowship is that it has brought us from OER adoption to creation. Before the fellowship, most OER use at Touro consisted of faculty adopting existing OER in the most common subject areas. An effect of the fellowship has been that it has attracted a lot of faculty from the graduate level in fields where there is less OER available, and many of these faculty are interested in authoring original OER. So our fellows are actually adding resources of value to the global OER community. This shows every department at Touro that currently uses OER, the departments in yellow being those of our fellows. This focus on graduate level education has happened completely organically. This is just who's demonstrated the most interest in OER at our institution so far. Aside from the financial benefits, OER use has a record of positive academic outcomes as well. As numerous studies have shown, students who learn with OER have academic outcomes that are equal to or better than those using commercial textbooks. Many of our professors believe there's a positive correlation between their OER use and their students' academic outcomes as well. Here are some anecdotes from our faculty members. One of our professors in the business department reports seeing a 5 to 10% increase in his students' grades. He also reports his students are more engaged and motivated. In fact, many of our faculty who teach with OER have also expressed that their students are more engaged in class, more motivated to complete coursework, and ultimately perform better academically. This is another way the fellowship is transforming teaching and learning at Touro. Students are performing well, and faculty are adopting new approaches and embracing pedagogical innovation. Next, we'll hear from some of our faculty members who have completed the fellowship.
Hi, my name is Michele Zakarin. I am the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Professor of Legal Process at Touro Law School. So I teach at the law school. And the first thing I just would like people to know is how good it is for the law school itself to have faculty members becoming interested in and using open educational resources in their respective classrooms. So it shows a school that's willing to modernize and care about its students and care about defraying costs from textbooks. As you may know, traditional case books and traditional textbooks also are somewhere in the area of, like for this one, for instance, close to $300. And so if there is a way to have students not purchase a book, if there is a way to find materials elsewhere, it's worth it. It's a good idea to do that. For the students, we know at the law school and across the board, there are many students who suffer from financial insecurity. And so anything that will help save them the money while still gaining access to materials that are useful in the classroom is a win-win. And so with OER for the student, there is still access to material, right? All of the material is in an online format and can be placed in a learning management system. I know at Touro we use Canvas. It's easy to get the materials that you need onto Canvas available to your students immediately. And the student engagement is wonderful because the material's there and they're not waiting for a book to come in, and they're not, oh, I forgot that book at home, or I didn't want to get the digital version, or I couldn't afford it, so I'm using it in the library, but I had to return it because someone else needed it. You are really able to have the students look at the material immediately and then even look at it while they're in class. They can pull it up, they can look, you can all look at things together, and you know everyone has it. If they have their laptop, they have, or their iPad or anything, they have their materials. So it encourages engagement as well. It's also wonderful for diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's inclusive of a very diverse audience. It's very diverse students, and they all can use it depending on their financial situation. They have accessibility, and even students with disabilities have accessibility because there's alternative text. Also, OER can be formatted to use a screen reader program for people who need that sort of help. And there are also transcription services available, so it could be read to them, aloud if they need something like that. And so it's great. They are great tools for faculty, and very easy to get started. I just like to mention that, it's great if you want to maybe write your own book in an OER format, but you don't even have to go that far right away. You can absolutely use existing materials that someone else has written, and you can use that in your class, right? And that's a very easy way to get started and very appreciated by students. My experience with OER, for my grant, I have been writing a textbook for my legal writing class. But even before I did that, I want to talk about my experience with using OER in a different class where the book was the $298 casebook that I showed before in my slide, and I didn't want my students to have to spend that much money. So what I did was I found the materials elsewhere, and the materials I needed. I had to do a little research. I had to do a little editing. I had to work with what was around, but it's now there for students for the next time I teach this class. And the students thanked me, right? They were so grateful for saving the money, and they had no complaints. They were learning, they understood, and I had, them take some anonymous just to see what they thought, like to let me know anonymously what their thoughts were about it. And every single one, unanimously just really liked using the materials through OER and did not feel that they were limited in any way because of it. So overall, I just want to tell you that it can be a wonderful alternative to traditional casebook or textbook models. It really is a way that you can provide the same or even better information to your students, and of course, accessible to all and completely free of charge. Thank you for being part of this, and thank you for being here.
Hello, my name is Virginia Koenig. I'm an associate professor and the occupational therapy academic fieldwork coordinator at Touro University in Manhattan, New York. Today, I will share some of the strategies that I used and that you can use to develop an open educational resource, which I'll refer to as an OER throughout this presentation. The first thing you need to do is to identify a need within your course or academic program that could help optimize your teaching as well as your students' learning. Once you have identified a need, you could start the blueprint for your OER. You should outline what you want your resource to contain and also outline the components of your OER in a systematic manner. As you begin to develop your resource, try not to dwell on the time factor. Rather, consider the focus factor. I might add that I also recommend this to students who are faced with a huge assignment or project. Don't think about the time. Focus on the focus factor. For example, some individuals that have focused and not thought about time is Anthony Burgess, who wrote A Clockwork Orange in 3 weeks. As I Lay Dying was written by William Faulkner in about 6 weeks while he was working the night shift at a power plant. Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol within 3 weeks, and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas was written by John Boyle in just 2.5 days. There are many reasons why you should consider creating an OER. If you have an idea or have identified a need within your academic program or course that has lodged deeply in your brain, write about it. Whether you want to make a name for yourself as a great writer or expert within your field, an OER is a great way to do it. An OER is also a fantastic way to leave a legacy for future generations. There are many benefits to creating an OER. First, you don't have to hand your text over to a publisher, which can result in the loss of your copyright. An OER will alleviate the need for copyright clearance, which is usually associated with a fee. And OERs save students costs. We all know how expensive textbooks can be. OERs can lead to a shift in the role of the instructor by taking the focus off producing content, which will allow instructors to dedicate more time on classroom instruction and helping their students learn. OERs can actually bring increased recognition to your scholarly work by making it more widely available without signing away intellectual property rights. And OERs will help you to meet and network with other professionals, not just from your school or university, but beyond. As you begin your OER, remember that it will be a dynamic process. So be ready to add, delete, and modify as you progress. And as you become comfortable with your OER, you will grow to realize that your resource will be more than likely fantastic and will expand beyond its original intention. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Michele Bunker Alberts. I am an associate professor and I'm faculty in the School of Nursing at the Touro, California campus. I'm also chair of the Family Nurse Practitioner Program. I'm going to talk a little bit about opportunities, both for faculty and for students, and then I'm going to talk about my project in particular. So I just want to point out, I really agree with what is typically said about the opportunities of OER. It's obviously affordable, it's accessible, it provides for more inclusive materials. But also, I would say, as a faculty who's used a little bit of OER, it really also allows for folks who have and or benefit from multiple learning styles, and it just adds an additional platform to teaching and learning. It also encourages fellows. So from the perspective of faculty, maybe who would come to work for a university that would have, OER resources and or a fellowship like this, really encourages fellows to, kind of develop lots of projects. And it has encouraged me to really reach beyond my discipline, introducing more students to OER, more faculty to OER. And I think that's just an opportunity. In terms of opportunities for students, one of the things I thought was really important was that it really provides kind of early access to students, meaning, sometimes your learning management system or your course site doesn't open until the day of, and students sometimes want to have a little bit of a preview and look through things. And sometimes it's really nice to have, have that access. It really allows, in my experience, them to be more engaged. And it also, just allows for a little more equity in terms of, just multiple platforms, and for them to be able to kind of share what they're learning both across, their discipline, across their college, even outside, the college particularly, or possibly. Beyond faculty and students, I think, it offers kind of more challenges, fresh challenges. It allows us to teach kind of beyond the course, I would say. My project, I'm an advanced pharmacology instructor, and so I applied for the OER fellowship because I was working on a concept-based curriculum for a course that we call the 3 Ps, and it's 3 courses combined. So it's 3 units each, a 9-unit course, but it's really heavy. And so the idea is kind of the core courses for coming into advanced practice as a nurse. And so my part is advanced pharmacology, the advanced pathophysiology, and advanced physical assessment. And we do a lot of, kind of case studies and fishbowl discussions and a lot of preparation with students so that they're able to balance all that material. And OER has really helped me be able to do that. As an instructor for pharmacology, my experience has always been sort of, let's do the, the pharmacology, and then let's think about kind of the vulnerable populations or the special populations. And so my, task as an instructor has always been really trying to incorporate those populations. The nurse practitioner core competencies were updated in 2022, and the use of OER has really been has allowed us to be able to really expand on those core competencies and offer increased access and increased resources to students. And one of the other things that I really like to introduce in my advanced pharmacology course is kind of some of the newer concepts, weather events, climate change, some of the things that happens with pharmacology and or pharmaceutical production, folks that live outside, folks that, aren't in necessarily always stable environments, power issues, those kinds of things. And, there's not a lot in the literature about that. And so, by doing my OER project, I was really able to bring in some of those things that may not so much be available in kind of texts and more traditional literature quite yet. So what I've loved about the fellowship is really the ability to take these concepts and really pull them apart in ways that really serve our core concepts and our concept-based curriculum and our team teaching goals. The focus of the DNP and or in advanced practice particularly is for us to work on kind of the ideas to kind of shorten the time it takes to bring research to practice. And I would say OER really, really helps us do that. Kirk and the team were so helpful, and I loved the experience. I have provided a couple of slides that give a little purview into my project, which is not complete yet, but I would highly recommend this fellowship. Thanks so much.